Okay, so I am gonna, so this is the tray, Dr. Amanda, with the proteins in it. And so you can see here is tray 1, tray 2. And so I'm just gonna take these off. These have been in the refrigerator where they live until you test the patient. So then you can kind of see the proteins right here, right? All the trees, grass, weeds, animals, and then environmental. I heard you talk about dust mites. That's right there. And so it's kind of cool. I always like to show the patients this, so the underside. So you see all the different colors of the proteins and serum there. It's just kind of cool. So this is the kit right here to test one patient. Right here, it's got everything you need in it. Obviously, I'm not going to break it totally open today, just because I don't want to waste it. But this is what we'll be using. We'll be dipping those into the reservoirs here. So you can see the little lancets at the bottom right there. But so what I do have is a test one that doesn't have lancets. So we'll see that. So anyway, so there's enough there to test, to put into all 6 of those trays. And so that'll be 60 allergens we're testing for. So it also comes with alcohol pads we'd use beforehand, little towelettes to kind of put down on the tray. It's got some more towelettes to use after the testing to help break down the proteins and kind of help alleviate some of the itching. We've got cortisone, little packets in there to help put on afterwards. A little surgical marker that I'll show you. We'll use that to kind of give me some guidance and template. I'll show you how I do that. And then a little ruler to measure the reaction from the skin. So now I will hand it off to my trusty photographer, Haley. This is my wife, Dawn, and so she's gonna be our guide. So I'm gonna actually pop one of these off right here. So it comes off so you could get deeper into that reservoir if you needed to as you use it. Kits. This is enough for 20 patients tested, and so what we do is we'd stick these in there, and obviously it acts like a stopper to kind of give you, you wouldn't go plunge as far into the reservoir. Otherwise, you get into your 17th, 18th testing, you don't need this, you take them off, and that would allow you to get deeper into the reservoir. So these fit in there nicely, and I'll show you a little bit more about those here in a second. But so what I do is I take this off first, and then I'd come over to the patient after I've wiped her down with alcohol. I would then find the spot, like, it's rounded, the arm, and so I try to find a spot where it's not, decent enough where I don't have to keep rocking whenever I put the comfort tan, it is called, onto it. So what I do is I mark to give me some landmarks here, so that when I do test her, I know where that. I like to go to the right of them, and I'll show you here in a second. But so what I would do is I would mark these, right, for the first 10, and then the next 10, and so on. So I would then come down here, and I'd mark her again, and I would again mark her all the way through, right, looking like that. I would do that on both arms. Of course, this arm's been wiped down with alcohol. I'd place it here, have her take her watch off and place it there. So then after that, done with the surgical marker, I would put this back. I would then I'd open these guys. I would place each one of them in here. So come closer, Haley. I'm going to show you definitely a trick that Eric has built into this. So if you look at this comfort tan, it's got a little circle there, and it's got what Eric affectionately calls the butt right here. So it is the head and the butt, proximal, distal, right? So we want to line up our little head right here with this indention right here. So you can see them right there, these little guys. So what I'd do is I'd put this in there all the way down, right? And I'd put them all on there. But again, I take great care in knowing that I'm in tray 1. That's my right arm for the patient. Tray 2 is my left arm for the patient. Again, I'm making sure that I have this indention that signifies the head or proximal orientation with comfortan. So once I've done this, so what I like to do is I like to, quite honestly, I have her sitting on here. A lot of times I put them in a chair and I have a tray and I put my little towelette down and I have them put their arms out. It's a lot more comfortable for them and for me actually. But then I mark them and then I bring the tray one over and I start here, right? So after I take this out of the tray one, I then come and I go a little bit to the right of the dots, and you guys will probably see the indentions. I'll push down again. There's no lancets in this right now, but then if you can maybe make out, there's like some little dots to the side of her where these little guys made the indention. So I like to go to the right of them just a little bit, but again, it allows us to see to have orientation, and I'll show you why that's important as well on the iPad. So I would do that. Of course, I would then throw this away. Do not stick it back in here because then you're calling Allergy123 to send you a new tray because you contaminated all the other proteins in there. So go straight to the sharps with this is what I typically do, or I stick it right back in here, and then I go for the next one, make the imprint, stick it back in my tray, and then I toss those when it's done. So now from that, over here, Haley, if you can see here, so now the patient's been tested, right? So I've kind of set this up. This is the iPad. You've seen a little bit of this before, Dr. Amanda. So this is just actually the test patient of it. So I've already, I think I heard you say that it's just really kind of you. Maybe you have an MA, maybe you don't. I don't at this point. I'm really kind of doing this all myself. So I kind of get all of this done ahead of time, put the patient's name, date of birth, all that stuff in there. Right, and then I kind of go through these. These are just kind of some questions that I obviously start when I start talking to them beforehand, and I kind of go through some of the questions like, have you taken any sleep aids, antihistamines like that, 48 hours prior to being here? Are you pregnant? Look at me. Are you staying in the state? Are you moving away? Just some of those questions. They help build. Down the road, we'll get more questions, but they help build this immunotherapy injection kit too. So then here's a clock. So once I do test the patient, then I obviously start my timer and we get going with that. Then we move on to the next, which is some more questions. These ones help us start to hone in on the personalized immunotherapy injection kit for that patient, and I won't bore you with them. They're pretty straightforward. Just talking about allergies, what type of season affects you. Is it a major affecting you, a minor kind of just irritant, outdoor hobbies, stuff like that. So once we get through there, so now I'll somewhat kind of fast forward, right? So here is what's cool, and Eric showed this, I think, on his presentation. So it's a finger slide, right? So if you're lucky enough to have an MA, you come in, you're using this ruler to gauge the reaction to the protein, and then you're calling that out. So what I was saying before, so look, we're on trees A. So that this is tray 1, and that's that first tray. That's the first one I used on Dawn, which is trees A, and then moving down her arm B, trees B, and then grasses. And so this matches up with how I put those down because I paid attention to the proximal orientation to the comfortan. So that then tells me, okay, this first one is pine mix, seconds, and so I move down the list on that, and so then I click over to trees B. Same thing. I got good orientation, so I know that I can then start calling these out. So we'll just kind of fast forward. I've already kind of messed with them a little bit before we got on the call. So so now I've gone through. I've talked out, called out all the reaction, and then you hit next, and it's literally this. When you're doing a patient this fast, it builds their immunotherapy injection kit. So this, in theory, is what Dawn would be most allergic to and what we are looking to desensitize her for. So so you see them, you can kind of go through. You can also go down here and look through all of what she was allergic to. And this is the cool part too, and I've done it a few times. So it tells you the classification of the irritant here, the allergen. And so what you can do is you can come up here and you can hit manual select. It keeps in mind what it's kind of telling you. So like Eric said, the software doesn't make the ultimate diagnosis, but it allows you, it helps guide you. And then as a practitioner, you can go through it, and as you're talking to them, they're like, oh my gosh, mesquite is killing me. So you can tap on, you can pull some of these out and tap on them. Well, that was a 0, but the ones that they had reaction to, you can swap them out, and then you can pay attention to the classifications of the allergen, and you can always go back to suggested, just like that, pretty quick. So then the patient would say, yep, I reviewed my results with the practitioner. Patient, then we're looking at finalizing everything, patient signs, doc signs, and then you are hitting next to complete the order. And at that point, Allergy123 gets that kit, and they build it. Here is EpiPen. Yep, doc told me all about it. And complete. So it's pretty simple, pretty fast. I've enjoyed it. I've had tremendous success with patients and helping to get them desensitized. So I've had nothing but really good feedback from them. So other than that, let me know if you have any questions.